And welcome to the Men Break 2 podcast. Today we have Gina Cloud on. How are you doing, Gina?
Good, Mike.
Now, Gina is an author, a life coach, and the creator of GinaCology. And we're basically going to be talking about dating culture. Gina, if you want to tell people who you are, what you do, give them a little bit of background so they know where we're going.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. I've been working with women for over 2 decades, and I'm the creator of something called GinaCology. Yes, it sounds like gynecology, and it's got my first name in it, and because it's my philosophy sort of about helping women reclaim the feminine, and I use our biology as sort of the GPS, as to getting back to home base, because I think women are very lost and disconnected from the feminine. And through the course of that time, men started listening in on the conversation. And so I started, doing life coaching for women, but then I started doing life coaching for men. And then the conversations around masculine, feminine, women and men, what we want from each other, how we want to be, connected to one another, what doesn't work came about. I'm also the author of a book called Women, A New Definition. Actually, I have it's called a reprint coming out in about a month, probably in March. And it's a new definition for reclaiming the feminine, because the original title was A New Definition. But right now, with all the stuff going on with the canceling of gender, I was like, no, I don't want people to be confused that it's a new definition as in embracing that. It's a new definition for reclaiming the feminine. So, and I really love these conversations about men and women. So in a nutshell, go to my website if you want to know more about me, which is just GinaCloud.com. So.
Excellent. And as always, with everyone that I do here, I'm going to make sure that I have a link to your website. I have a link to the book, GinaCology, everything else, as well on YouTube for those who want to go in and see some of the shows that I'm linked to. I have you in there. I've watched some of the shows. They're very great. So I think you pretty much summed up what we're getting into. But the question is what everybody's tuning in for. What the hell is wrong with current dating culture?
Man, how about everything? I mean, to me, honestly, I feel technology is a problem. I feel that men and women being very confused about masculine, feminine is an issue. I feel the lack of real world contact is a huge issue. I feel that women have become very much like men, and men are being encouraged to abandon masculinity with the label of it all. It's like a nomenclature, toxic masculinity, as if every quality of the masculine is toxic, which is complete bullshit. But there's just mass confusion. And I also think a big part of it is there's too many rules. There are too many people out there, dating coaches. To me, it's all about every bit of advice I give to a man or a woman, it all comes down to self-love. But these dating coaches with rules on how to do things, what you should and shouldn't do, it really makes me angry, because you have a lot of really vulnerable men and women out there looking and longing to find each other and not knowing the how. And then you have these bullshit like gurus out there taking your money. This was a big part of how I got involved with men, was the PUA community back in like 2010 when I was doing my own podcast. I was finding these guys were coming to me and they were angry. Their money had been taken. They were vulnerable, lacking in self-worth, lacking in self-love. And somebody that knew how to market all of that into a, hey, I can help you get laid kind of platform was doing just that. But what these guys really wanted, and I will say this until the day I die, from my experience with men personally, professionally, and with men as friends, men are looking to connect, to have a deep connection. Men don't want to be out there hunting all the time. You want one woman that you can trust, that you are attracted to sexually, that is attracted to you, and that there's trust and friendship and connection. And I think men and women want that, but I think men are simpler. You guys want less than what women are out there looking for. And I think women now have this like list of stuff that they want from men, and they're showing up in a very masculine way. And I still think that men want very simply a woman who is in her feminine. And feminine doesn't mean weak. It doesn't mean the 1950s version of, you walk through the door and dinner's on the table and it's not that. This is a completely different kind of what feminine means. So the dating coaches, I think, are making things much worse. And because people need to learn to step into their own authentic selves and to learn to love themselves. And to, I've been saying on my own live stream, the sexiest, most alluring thing you can ever experience is a man or a woman who is fully inhabiting themselves and they are comfortable and relaxed in who they are. That is the most attractive thing out there. And there are no rules for how to get there. There's no 10 steps to do this. And we live in a culture where everybody wants a formula to get there. Everybody wants it to be easy. It is easy, but it's simple, but it's not easy, but it requires you to do work and nobody's going to do that work for you. Sorry, I can keep going and going and going.
Yeah. So anytime you want to feel better about how you feel about a relationship, you can go to Instagram and find it one way or another. We were talking a little bit prior to the thing about narcissism. And now if you want your ex to be a narcissist, you can go to Instagram and prove it. Oh, he lied or she lied. She cheated. She's a narcissist, and instead of what it really is. So we kind of disconnect with that personal feelings of people and we look for that play-by-play list. And you're right. It's like, okay, how long before I text somebody back? Oh, I double text. I shouldn't double text.
I hate that stuff. It's so completely inorganic.
Yeah. Well, they didn't send me a good night text, so I guess block them or ghost them. It's like, people, God. It's not, you're not playing a game. You're not like, it's not a recipe for something you're cooking. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all feeling based. Do you like the person? Yeah. Double text them. If they think you're needy, that's their,
and they're not the person
issue.
for you. Yeah.
That's their issue. So if they're not going to understand who you are and what you're talking about, then they're not going to understand when you get into something serious. So it's just become a disaster. When I came back to the dating world, it was after 20 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
I could
How long have you been back in it?
About 6 to 8 months now.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I dabbled during my separation, right when the divorce was getting finalized, but I wasn't ready. So I just kind of dabbled. But when I was back into it, healed, ready to go, it's been about 8 months now. And it was like, what the fuck? This is not Earth.
Like I was just going to say, it's like you dropped into a different planet. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yep.
It's a completely different reality.
Yeah. And it's scary, especially for, and I don't really cover the women's side of this too much because this is,
and that's okay.
You're doing
this is Men Break Too, and that's what your podcast is about.
But,
so it's
a lot of men don't keep track of this stuff. When men go into a relationship, they're focused and they're in. A man may cheat, but he's not cheating because he doesn't want this relationship anymore. There's other reasons for why he cheats. No excuse for it. I'm just saying there's other reasons why he cheats. But he is still dedicated to that relationship that he's in. So when and that's a masculinity trait. We're taught that we're not supposed to lose. We're supposed to fix things, and failure is not an option. So we will stick into a relationship and try to fix it, for whatever it's worth. So when things happen, when we finally break, we break, and we don't know what's been going on in the terms of relationship world, or how we're supposed to talk to a new woman, how we're supposed to court in today's society, because it's changed. So after 20 years, men are sitting here like, what do I do? And most of them don't even have a good profile picture for their dating apps, because they don't know how to date on dating apps because they haven't had to.
But all of it is ridiculous. And I kind of want to go back because I got a little bit of a zing from something you said about men cheating. And I think that you have to look at that as something that if a man is in a relationship and he cheats, or if a woman, so many of my rules are two-way street, because it all comes down to authenticity and honesty and integrity and being who you are. So I don't think if a guy cheats that he's necessarily still committed to that relationship. There's something that has to be examined within him. And if a woman does the same, and sometimes it's a lack of connection to themselves in a way that they think, oh, I need something from this other person that they're not giving me, and I need to go find it somewhere else. Well, that's something that's wrong with the man or the woman that went out and cheated. and they may or may not be committed to the relationship. So I'm not sure that those two, that you can cheat and still be committed to the relationship emotionally. Yes, you can. And I just think it's not always the case. So I just wanted to kind of back up and throw that out there. But the dating stuff and the pictures I just feel like there's so much lying going on, Mike. I feel like there's a tremendous amount of lying. People are presenting themselves in a way that isn't true. The catfishing, the stories I've heard. I don't do online dating. Never have, never will. If I don't meet someone organically, I'm very happy by myself. That's just the way it is, because I won't play any of these games. I want someone that is also, it's like, I think I said, if I do meet somebody and I give him my number and I get a text that's like, hey, forget it. I will never, ever have anything to do with you. I don't want you texting me on an initial, I want you to call me. I want us to have a conversation. You can text me to say, oh, here's the address for the restaurant. But it's like men don't have the balls and women don't have the femininity in a lot of ways men to approach, have lost the capacity to approach. Women don't make it easy though. Women, a lot of women these days are I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was in a relationship with a woman and he showed me a picture of her, and I said, oh, she's extremely masculine. He's like, oh my God, your insight is incredible. And I said, well, you can see it. She looked beautiful. She looked the part, but the energy is very, very different. And so a lot of women are extremely assertive and aggressive, but men are also, I think, very afraid in this, in the Me Too culture of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. And instead of just saying, oh, you look beautiful, or that's a nice dress, or I love the way you look, or, I like your smile, or anything that a man might have said before that was innocuous. I've heard so many men say, I'm afraid to say that. I'm afraid to open the door because somebody's going to give me shit about I can do it myself, or the car door. You guys are kind of on an island and you're like landlocked. There's nowhere for you to go. And it's really disheartening because I hear there's like these two different types of women. There's women out there who have their list of this man better give me this or he's not getting me and I'm all that, and just walk away from them is what I have to say. And then there's women who are really looking for men to show up in their masculine, in a really healthy, beautiful kind of masculine. But those women are in some ways kind of hidden, because a lot of times I think these women are afraid to say, yeah, I want a guy to open my door. Yeah, I like when a guy pays for my dinner, or I like when a guy wants to know about me. I have something that I teach women when they're dating. And the same goes for men, because there's so much narcissism with all the selfies and everybody taking pictures of themselves and look at me and look at me and look at me in social media. And so if you go on a date with somebody and they spend the whole time talking about themselves and they don't ask you anything about your life, where are you from? Do you have siblings? Have you been married? Do you have kids? Do you want, if they don't ask you about you, do not go on a second date, because you're potentially dealing with a narcissist. A man or a woman who's a narcissist. And I know some people are nervous and they just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about themselves. And I've been this way because I love people. And when I'm getting to know anybody, whether it's potentially romantic or a friendship or whoever, I love finding out who you are. So I ask a lot of questions because I'm curious. I'm curious by nature. I want to know you, right? But there should be an exchange. Like at some point in there, the guy should turn around or the woman should say, ask something about the person in front of them, as opposed to like some people, well, you get nervous and you just keep talking and talking about yourself, but you should have enough self-awareness to realize you're talking about yourself nonstop. So, it's just, I don't know, Mike, jump in here, because I just think it's all a big mess. And I see it from one point of view as a woman, but I'm supportive of organic, healthy relationships. And I just don't see how people are able to do that with the tools we have right now. We have really fucked up tools.
Well, it's not going to be organic. The organic is going to be slim to none. It's like when you get used to ordering your pizza as opposed to driving down to the pizza place and picking it up, it's over. You're not going to go back to picking it up. Maybe a few times, maybe here and there, it just doesn't happen. But now, do you think with men, and I hear this a lot from ones I work with and from my own personal experience, but do you think men are, like when you talk about when they text, hey, or do these things, do you think that they're actually idiots, Or do you think they're suffering from, I don't know what the fuck to do? Do I text her?
I usually think
do I
they're too
open
passive.
the door for her?
Yeah. I think it's passivity. I think it's being too tentative. Whereas, men before all of this would risk the rejection. They would put themselves out there, and it was just, okay, well, so I might win, I might lose, but I'm going to approach this woman. I'm attracted to this woman. And if she knocks me down, she knocks me down. And you get a little bit stronger for having done it. I have one friend, he's from Italy, and he's constantly going out there, just meeting women, approaching women in person, live. He's got certain places he goes, and he deals with the rejection, but it cultivates a kind of strength and masculinity, I think. And so if a guy texts, hey, I'm like, you're too passive. I want you to risk placing a phone call. That's not a risk to me, right? Having a phone call with me where we can have an actual voice-to-voice communication until we can have a voice-to-voice, face-to-face communication, because I'm not doing relationship of any kind on my phone. It's just not happening. And there are different kinds. That's the kind of woman I am. And I think a lot of men that are looking for relationship are looking for women who think like I do. But men have to man up in a certain way. You have to get past that. Well, maybe she'll respond, maybe she won't. What do you want to do? What do you as a man feel? Oh my God, I'm really interested in this woman. I really want to get to know her, but I'm nervous. I'm scared. I always say I have so much respect for men who approach women and who just go for it, because you guys put yourselves out there for rejection. And a lot of women don't understand, because we don't go through it in the same way, unless you're one of those women that's out there approaching men. But I will never know what that feels like, to keep going out there and approaching someone and being told no. So I have a softness in my heart to be kind to men if someone does approach me and I'm not interested, rather than to be a bitch or to shut a guy down. But if you've already got my number, all right, you're already through the major door, why not call me? Don't even text me first and say, can you talk? Just call me. That shows a desire to connect in as personal a way as we can in that moment, And if she doesn't answer, leave a voice message, whatever that's organic and authentic for you. But like we were talking about a minute ago, these dating coaches have given men certain formula and rules that they have to follow, because you don't want the woman to get the upper hand. And then women have the same kind of, rules that are being told to them about how they need to behave with men. And none of it allows us to have a Mike Gina exchange. A Mike Gina exchange is going to be different than a Mike Mary exchange, or any other woman you would come in contact with. And that's why these one size fits all things drive me insane. And it takes away your sense of self. It makes you feel that there's a formula. And if you follow it, and that's part of the lying and the deception, there's this formula. And if you follow it, at the end of it, you'll have sex with this woman, or in that sense, you'll have sex with this woman, or you'll end up in a relationship. And I just think all roads lead to loneliness and frustration and emptiness. And we're just getting more and more and more disconnected. But I personally want to see men not be afraid to just approach organically,
I'm glad you said that. I get a lot of men though. And this happened to me a while back, where I just got tired of it. I'm done.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of guys in the manosphere right now, and they're leaning towards red pill content.
Yeah, I'm reading about this. It's horrifying, actually. I'm learning a lot here.
And red pill content isn't bad. I'm not horrified about it. What bothers me?
Not the red pill, but what's the other one? The incels.
Well, incels are all part of the red pill, because they're preaching to the incels. And we can go into incels in a minute. I think incels, and I've said this on a couple podcasts now, incels are potentially the most dangerous as in good men out there. They are one step away from taking me out of the dating market. And I'll tell you about that in a second.
That'd be interesting.
When they go to the red pill content, I have no problem with the likes of, Fresh and Fit, or Just Pearly Things, or even Andrew Tate. Okay. I don't know these people personally, but if you look at some of the things they say, they do speak truth, bring in statistics. Now, What's bad about red pill content isn't the content, but it is the men receiving it. I think there's a lot of men who are not emotionally mature enough to hear what's being said and say, okay, this is what's being said. How does this actually apply? Are women doing this? Yeah, but it's not necessarily all women. Do I have to necessarily become a millionaire to get another woman? It may help, but no, I'm going to make sure I have enough money to do this. So, and a lot of times men are coming out of being, like I was talking about earlier, how hard men break. So men will break. Like it was 18 years for me. I come out, I'm completely broken, don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden you start to get red pill content, which is fine. Except if I'm not emotionally mature enough to understand what they are saying and how I should apply that, I'm going to turn to hatred. I'm going to become, oh, I just hate all women. Yeah, all women are bad and all women are this. So, part of what I do in my program is trying to get people after they've been red pilled and say, yes, 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 it's true. But let's back up for a second, look at this logically. And even some of the people that do the red pill content will tell you their goal isn't to make you pissed off against women. Their goal is to wake you up and then become a better man. And like what you're saying, you're back more to the masculine, not like we were talking about toxic, not being toxic, but being more of that man, being more of that leader. So the incels, what I was talking about, and I think this is great because there's probably some people out there that are thinking, well, I'm an incel. I think it's not a insult. A lot of people use that as an insult to these men, but
wait, you know what? Let's start this. Mike, can I interrupt you for a second? Because I want to make sure we're having the same conversation. Yeah. Because from what I understand, this is all stuff I'm learning about right now. Yeah. And when I looked up incel, and there was like a Wikipedia definition, and basically what it says is these are involuntarily celibate men. I'm going to give you my definition, and we can explore this so people listening understand we're coming from the same, we're coming from the same understanding. Involuntarily celibate, which is where the nomenclature comes from, and that they are angry. They were angry at women because women are withholding sex from them. They want to have sex, so they're involuntarily celibate and that women have all the power, and they're angry at women, and it can turn to violence against women. So this is why I said the incel stuff to me is really scary, because that was the definition. And as I looked more on the internet, so it sounds like you have a different way of looking at it, which I'm very curious about, because based on the stuff I saw, like on the internet, it was not favorable.
Okay, so what you're looking at is the extreme. You're looking at I hate women, all women. So, and this is what I talk about, absorbing red pill content. So if you're an incel because a woman has hurt you, and what I'm saying is women won't have sex with you. I'm not either good looking enough. I'm either overweight. I don't make enough money. I don't meet the expectations, which we're going to go into in a minute. I don't meet these high expectations that women have for me. So I can't have sex. Women don't want to have sex with me. So you start to get into a phase where you start hating women. Okay, I hate feminism. I just hate everything about women in today's culture because basically I can't get it. So instead of looking inwardly as I need to fix myself, you start looking outwardly as women are all bad and they need to change. And I look at that as it's the same way where men are I look at women and say, hey, you have too high of expectations. You can have them if you want, but you're going to need to change if you want to get a man that you're looking for. And I think the same thing applies to incels. That's fine, but you're going to need to change as an incel as well to get the woman you're looking for, because people do have expectations, whether they're out of line or whatever. There's always something about you. So, you're going to the extreme, the violence of, like there's some men out there who will get red pilled and they're already incels and they go out. Let me tell you like this. So we talk about equal rights, equal fights. So, would you ever hit a woman? That question comes up to a man. Would you ever hit a woman? And you get some men that are like, no, absolutely not. I don't care what a woman's doing to me. I would never hit a woman. You get some guys that are like, I wish a woman would try to swing at me because I'd punch her right back. A man, a masculine, is going to say, yes, it's okay to hit a woman in self-defense. If a woman's hitting you, it would be okay to do that. But should you? You know what I'm saying? Should you really hit a woman? So you're going to evaluate it like, I don't think this is. When you're talking about the violence of an incel, it's where they get to the point to where they're out there wishing a woman hit them. You know, they're like, I can't wait to defend myself. I'm going to teach a woman, yeah, here's your equal rights. They're not necessarily out there looking for a fight, but they can't wait for it to happen. So, and again, that's kind of on the extreme end. I'm talking about the guys that are like, well, I give up on women because I'm not going to have sex.
Yeah, but see, I don't see that definition on the internet. That's why I was asking for clarification on, because if you go on the internet and you look up incel, you see what I'm describing.
Well, the first issue is Wikipedia. Never go to Wikipedia.
I know Wikipedia is crap. And that's why I was like, well, let me start here because it was the first one. But then I kept looking at other ones as well. No. And I didn't see any shade. It's going to bring it into
the realm of toxic masculinity.
Okay. So, and I mean, I know that's what's being promoted. Absolutely what's being promoted. But I think in those incels where, you know, what I feel when I look at everything, I don't look at it on the surface. I go beneath to what is the root of why we're experiencing this? Why are we all suffering from this? Why are men suffering? Why are women suffering? And because all we really want is to be with each other. And I feel like with the incel stuff, it's a blame game. It's an outward projection of and even the list of things that you said a minute ago, like, I don't make enough money. I'm not good looking enough. I'm overweight. How about just the simple thing? Well, maybe she's just not attracted to you.
Correct.
And that's okay.
Man,
and why is that not okay?
Why isn't she attractive? And it's usually because, and this is how a man looks at it. Why isn't she attracted to me? Well, she's not attracted to me because I'm not tall enough.
Right.
She wants a tall man. Okay. She's not attractive to me because I don't work out. I don't have muscles. You know, I'm overweight or whatever. What I'm trying to say is an incel is dangerous from like a step away from being like taking me out of the marketplace, because I see incels who are tall, make good money, they're decent looking, but they don't give a shit about their health. They're 300, 350 pounds, and then they're walking around complaining women aren't attracted to me. It's like, you know what? Go to the gym, lose some weight, eat healthy, work out a little bit. You are going to become the most dangerous man in the dating marketplace. I'm not going to be able to get a woman because this guy is taller than me, makes more money than me. He's better looking than me. The only thing is that he's not presentable. He wears the same shirt every day. He doesn't shower, you know, just these small things that they can do if they look inwardly and saying, okay, maybe it's not about her. Maybe it's about me. Let me change some things about me. And that's what Red Pill content tries to teach them. That's what I try to teach them is you've got to look inwardly because you're probably one thing away from becoming that man that women are going to be after.
You know, it's interesting, Mike, because listening to you, it's like, it's like I hear what you're saying, but there's this fundamental piece that I think I'm beginning to realize. And it must be a man thing that you guys aren't understanding. Because like I had a call the other day with a guy who was a potential coaching client. And his mindset was until he becomes all these things that you guys think you need to be in order to get the girl or the woman, he's not good enough, or he's not gonna have that woman. And all the other guys around him are better than him. And what I see as the fundamental piece that's missing, and again, women are a different story, but with men, is not valuing yourself for who you are intrinsically, like who you are as Mike, or who David is as David, or whoever is as who they are. You guys, you seem to think that you've got this checklist of things you have to achieve or be or have in order to be woman worthy. And that is the biggest fallacy of all. And if I could say one thing to men, it's like, get rid of that belief system completely and get excited about being you. Stop you guys give us a lot of power by wanting us so much that you're willing to shape shift your reality just to have a woman with you. And women will do the same thing. It's not like a one gender thing, but you guys, I think, do it in a different kind of way, because you go after achievements and you don't really cultivate like, well, who am I? What really turns me on as a human being? What do I love to do? What makes me happy? What makes me feel good? And this is not narcissism. I have an expression that I call being self-centered, but that means centered in yourself. I love playing with language and giving it like new context, you know, different contextualities in terms of how we look at it. And so for you guys to become more self-centered, centered in yourself, where you don't care anymore. This is advice I keep giving men. Stop caring so much about getting a woman. And guess what? You'll have a woman. Care more.
Yeah, this it's kind of like cart before the horse. So if you got a guy that's coming to you and saying, I need to be all those things, there's a reason for it. A lot of guys have tried to show personality. They've tried to show charisma. They've tried to show confidence. But women in current dating culture, and the majority of them, I'm talking generally here, have certain requirements that men must meet before they're even allowed in the arena.
Those are the wrong women. This is what I'm saying.
And that's
don't
the majority
try
of
to
the
be
women,
those things.
And that's the majority of the women in here. So so I think I know where you're going with this. It's like, if we want women to not have OnlyFans accounts, us as men have to stop paying for OnlyFans accounts, right? If we want our women to stop going to clubs, we have to stop going to clubs and buying them drinks and giving them validation.
We're thinking you're going to find a quality woman, and this is why it's hard. This is why people find it really difficult.
Men need to get back to, and this is what's happened with not only with culture, but with dating and with marriage and everything. A lot of men have been emasculated.
Totally.
Over the last decade, 2 decades.
Many decades.
So when we talk about men need to be a certain thing, I'm not trying to teach them to shapeshift to mirror, because mirroring is bad. You don't want to try to pretend to be something else. Then you get in a relationship. You waste everybody's fucking time. And it can be mentally abusive to people involved. So I'm not talking about shape-shifting. I'm talking about shape-shifting into a different reality. I want them to get back to what reality is, because I believe men have already started to shape-shift away. It happened to me. I mean, over 18 years, forgot what it was to lead a family. Yeah. I can't blame my ex for not being attracted to me when I come up to her after a week and say, oh, where would you like to go for dinner tonight?
Right.
You know what? You dumb fuck. You know where she wants to go to dinner. You know what she likes to eat. You know she doesn't want to sit there and make a decision. She wants to know the time. She wants to know the
Bravo, Mike. Seriously, bravo.
And so those are the difference between where they are. And the other thing, and I just talked about this on a podcast I did the other day, is a lot of men are going, I need to get back to my masculinity. So we're going out Friday. It's going to be 7 o'clock and we're going to go to this place. And they're not taking into consideration what she really wants.
Exactly. It's one extreme. It's going from one extreme to the other. Yep.
It's going to be a man, and this is the way it is. So that's where you go towards the toxic thing.
Totally agree with you.
You know, shape shifting with these men, when these men come in and they're like, I've got to be this, I've got to be this. It's because women, in the current dating culture, won't even allow you to play the game unless you bring certain qualities. And I'm, again, this is general. There's some good women out there, but
lots of them.
They're about as rare as the women that men are looking for are about as rare as the men that women are looking for.
I don't believe that. I'm going to tell you why. I think it's all part of the current dating culture about where people go. I talk about this too. Where are you looking for women and men? Where are you going?
Everybody's online looking. Where else are they going?
Online, but they're also in bars. If you're in person, your bars are like a big thing, and they've always been a big thing. I personally have always found bars to be not a great place to meet people. Number one, people are drinking, getting drunk. I personally hate that environment, right? Mm-hmm. There's some quality people that go to bars, but there's bar culture where a lot of people that are in person will go and, be looking to find someone. If you're not online, it is very difficult. It is very difficult. But you know what? In my life, some of my relationships are people that I met in the market, walking down the street, having lunch or dinner by myself somewhere. Someone that just had the courage to approach me, that actually noticed me. Because here's another thing. We don't notice each other. Why? This thing. We're here, there's less of a noticing of one another, an actual organic, like an observation, like a man noticing you and the way that you walk or the way that you're dressed or what qualities you might have, your laughter, we're all not engaging with one another. And yet we want to engage with one another at the deepest level and in the most intimate ways. But the formulas are not going to work for us. And I think that I disagree. I think I know so many incredible men that are looking for quality women. And I know so many quality women looking for quality men. And they're out there. It's like change how you're looking and where you're looking. And like one piece of advice that I always give to women is, because we'll do the same thing, like they're longing to be in a relationship, really can't stop thinking about relationship, man, whatever. Who do I need to be? How do I, how much better do I look? It's the same thing. I need to look better, lose weight. Not so much the provider piece or the money piece. Women don't think about that when it comes time for looking for a man. But it's the same idea of I have to look and be a certain way in order for me to get the guy. And I say, you know what? What do you love to do? Go do that. Because the chances are, if you'll, number one, 100%, you'll enjoy yourself. Number two, if you meet somebody in that environment, you already know you have that thing in common and you've got a place to start. So rather than like spending all of our time trying to figure out how to get the woman or how to get the man, how about we spend our time figuring out how to be a better version of ourselves? How to like, what, is there something you've always wanted to learn that you haven't learned? Is there something you want to, experience? Travel. Oh my God. Travel is one of the most amazing ways to meet people. I've had relationships with people that I've met in my travels. And so you have to, it's simple, but it's not easy. And I know it because most people have a really hard time just being by themselves. But the more that you're able to focus on yourself, and not in a narcissistic way, but in a way of saying, who am I? What do I love to do? What am I missing out on my life that I keep waiting for that other person to share it with? That's a big one for me. I have done so much by myself, and that's when I always would meet people. Because here I am, happy and alive, doing something I love, and I'm by myself. So I'm actually a magnet as opposed to like traveling with another woman or in a group of people. Easy to target, if you will, in a good way. So if you're out there enjoying your life and being who you are, and I think men need more time with other men. I think you guys don't have enough time together is another piece for me. But if you go out there and you make more of who you are more attractive, and to be aware of a good woman's signals, like somebody who's not flirting with you to get laid that night, but somebody who's actually interested in you, a smile, that's an invitation from a woman. Eye contact for a certain period of time. That's an invitation. It's nobody's fault, because I really don't do the blame game. I really hate that, because every single woman is different. Every single man is different. And how we choose to engage with each other, whether we're following somebody else's created rules or you're living from your own heart. And this is a piece of the masculine that I talk a lot about. The masculine heart is so freaking beautiful. It's so delicious and valuable and heroic and generous. When a man gives you his heart, it is the most incredible experience I have ever had in my life.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
It is a treasure. The masculine heart is a treasure. But you have to treasure your own heart first. And I also believe that, when men can gather with one another and talk openly about, like, there's a guy out there whose work I follow who I love. I don't know if you know him. His name is Trevor Boehm, and he has a movement called Uncivilized. And he's got sort of a tenet that says, and I know I'm going to misparaphrase it, but it's something like, we need to help men stop hurting so men stop hurting others. And there's a lot of pain that men carry from their childhood. I can tell you, every male coaching client I've had, they may have come to me because they were addicted to porn. And
I'm sorry, Gina, I don't want to cut you off. I want to go back to some of the stuff that you were talking about, though.
Okay, sure.
I wish more women would listen to you about, looking for certain qualities in a man and allowing a man to do that. But even statistics have shown, that this is not happening in the current dating culture. I wish I knew where these women were. If you look, 80% of women on dating apps are going after 20% of men, which tells me that there are still those expectations that women have for those men. So when these men are like, okay, I'm just going to be myself, I'm going to be in tune with myself, and I agree with that 100%. But what I'm saying is, if you want to attract, and it's the marketplace that determines that, it's not necessarily me or what I do, the marketplace of what women wants determine what your value is going to be in here. So that's why a lot of men are looking at going to the gym. I want to make more money. I want to be more attractive. So those are the things they're looking at because they want to make it into that 20%. They're
but do you want to be with a woman that is conditional about her ability.
Well, that's a choice. You have a choice. You're either not with a woman, or you go ahead and make that transition into being where you are. And for men, it's not necessarily transitioning into something that we aren't. It's transitioning back into something that we should be. It's transitioning back into that masculine. I don't have to be a millionaire, right? I don't have to be a millionaire to be a high value man. But I'm not a high value man if I'm sleeping in until 2:00 in the afternoon,
True.
playing video games till 8:00 at night, and then sitting there and complaining because I didn't get a raise at my part-time job down the road. It's like, what the fuck am I thinking? You understand what I'm saying? I need to be out there breaking my ass in order to make myself better, because I don't want to say that's what a man does, but that is what we're programmed.
But that's
we're programmed
that is part of it. Yeah.
We're always programmed to make it better. And for the women listening, I want them to understand too, is you see a man out there always trying to do better. He's always trying to get a raise. He's always trying to get a better job. Don't complain about that, because the same energy that he puts into that, a man, like I golfed forever and I was trying to make myself better, the best golfer in the world. And it drove my wife crazy, because it's like, why aren't you putting that? If a man can put energy into that, imagine the energy he can put into you in a relationship. He is 100%. Always going to strive to make that relationship better once he is in his masculine and allowed to be in his masculine. Now, if he's doing this stuff to escape because he's being emasculated
at home
and his woman is going into her masculine, well, then he's going to use these things such as his job or
to escape.
An activity
It'll become escapism.
To escape. But but if you're truly doing that. So I wanted to go back to the money aspect too as well, because you were like, well, women aren't necessarily caring about the money, especially now that they're making their money and they're taking care of themselves. But there's a saying that, men have, it's your money is your money to women. My money is our money.
Our money.
Yeah, our money. And I think that still resonates in today's culture with women. And again, there are some high value women who don't care about the money you make, but I think they're few and far between.
Well, I don't think it's that we don't care about the money you make. I think most women don't want a man who makes less than them. That's difficult because
why is that?
Well, because it's a part of it is a judgment value. Some of it's hypocritical in a certain way. I think at this stage of our life, or at this stage of where we are as a culture, because it's a primal thing. There's this, even though these uber feminists, these toxic, what I call toxic feminists, even they will say, well, I don't want a man who makes less money than me, and yet, okay, well, you're a feminist and you make your own money. So why do you care about that? And they can't really explain it, because there is something primal in what we expect from another, like wanting a man who's bigger than you. That's a primal thing, because we have a sense of, I want to know that you can protect me. And we equate that with size, right? So there's certain things that are not necessarily something we can understand on a mental level, because it's just kind of built into our DNA and hardwired into us as men and women and what we expect from each other. I think the money thing is, I think I've talked to a lot of women out there who really want to, for instance, be a mother and want to be a stay-at-home mother. But they feel embarrassed to say that out loud because feminist culture is like, what's wrong with you? Don't you you should make something of yourself. And it's like, my daughter, like for instance, in my situation, I was a single mom from the time my daughter was 5. I really longed, what I would have loved would to have been in a relationship with somebody that allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom, not worry about the money. It didn't devalue me and what I was capable of, because that's what a lot of, toxic feminists do. It's like, well, if you have a man supporting you, economically, then that makes you less than, or, you're capable of doing, well, of course I'm capable, but I don't want to.
Yes, exactly.
I want my man to do that for me.
You're a unicorn, Gina. You don't exist. You don't exist in the dating world. Okay. So this is all well and good, but this doesn't happen. No, I like that. I think part of that is, maybe a woman looks at a man and says, if he's not able to make as much as me, what makes him masculine enough to lead.
And that's a good point. Yeah. Is he like striving hard enough in his life as he is? But there's this other piece, Mike.
Some of the younger women don't understand that. So some of the younger women just see it on Instagram and say, "Oh, they said checklist number 8. Okay, they've got to make more money than me or whatever." So that's not necessary. And the older women, and when I talk about older women, I'm talking about women who once they hit 40, okay, I found there's a weird shift that happens with women at the age of 40. A lot of them have realized, okay, I'm in a good situation. I'm happy with my life. I'm comfortable. Right. I'm moving forward. What happens is happens. These are the choices I've made in my life. And then there's another group of women who hit 40 and go, what the fuck happened? I'm going to die here. I need to step up my game and do this. Yeah. And so, they're out looking and everything, but, yeah,
I've worked with a lot of those women in terms of coaching, a lot of very masculine women who don't even ever had, like, women in the military, corporate women who never knew what their feminine was. And I literally, every single time, there's a moment in my work with them where they're crying. They're like, I didn't even know what my feminine energy was. I had no identification with it. I've pushed against it. And some of this, it's like, that's just why I don't do the blame game, because there's so much programming that's happened through university culture over the last 30, 40 years, destroying the nuclear family, destroying masculinity, destroying femininity, destroying how we relate to each other. And it makes me so upset, but it hurts my heart more than anything, because I see I'm a very emotional woman. It upsets me because I see the loneliness and I see it as so unnecessary. And I see all these really good men. I'm very fortunate. I have so many men in my life. Almost all my exes are still in my life and we're good friends. I have multiple amounts of male friends and we have these incredible conversations. And there's all of this loneliness that men feel. And I feel that masculine heart, to go back to that, is really suffering, because you guys, I think the good men, and I always like to separate when I have this conversation, the patriarchal, toxic, masculine abusers. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the good men like you and the men that I know and who I've worked with. Their hearts are hurting because you guys are longing to pour your masculine energy into a woman who inspires you, who invites you into her beingness, into her body, into her soul, into her heart, and a woman who will push you in a feminine energy kind of way to become a better man. You are looking, that's the piece. A woman that says, oh, I get your golf game. Like, for instance, you were saying about your golf, it's like, I would be more like, okay, so tell me why this is so important to me. Like, tell me why. I want to know, because maybe I was misperceiving. And obviously if it was like, I thought, oh, you don't want to spend time with me. And I think communication is critical. Men and women don't want to talk to each other about difficult things. If you explain that to me, or maybe if I was really if we were in a certain place, I would know it from my own feminine knowing of why this man is out here doing this. And I also tell a lot of men, if you get involved with a woman who suddenly wants you to stop hanging out with your friends, get rid of her right now. Right now, never go out with her again. If you're involved, and this is very controversial, what I'm about to say, a lot of women are going to hate me for saying this, but men, if you are attracted to and involved with women who manipulate their appearance, Botox, fillers, surgeries, you are dealing with a very insecure woman. You're dealing with someone in a lot of ways who is shallow, but there's another piece to it. A lot of women are very damaged and believe we've been socialized to believe that how we look is the only way we'll get a man. But still, if you take it back to the fact that a woman is surrendering to that or buying into that, you're dealing with someone with very low self-esteem, and that will create a problem in the relationship.
And so I'll tell you now, not to cut you off, the women that are getting mad at you shouldn't be mad, because you're not telling men something that we don't already know.
Yeah.
We already know, and we already see this. And I know women are like, well, okay, maybe I was damaged and I'm trying to do this to rebuild my self-confidence. Another thing that men are looking at now that they're waking up, and a lot of this is the red pill. Hey, wake up to society. Don't just lay over as a man and take the abuse or the manipulation, which has happened, the emasculating. But men are now looking at, okay, I understand that you have trauma and you had issues from a past relationship. We don't fucking care anymore. It is. Men have looked at it as, okay, it's a broken woman that I'm getting a relationship with. As a man, my responsibility is to fix this woman. I need to bring in my masculine and lead
No, it's
her
not, though.
to the water. Men are done.
It's not, but it was never. It was never your responsibility to fix it.
It should never have been our responsibility, but society has put that, because men we're trained to be fixers. So, okay, you know what? Men look at women, broken women, and we're like, oh, I can fix her. And I'm sure women look at broken men, oh, I can fix, or I can change him. Men look and say, I can fix her. Women look at men and say, I can change him.
Right. That's very true. I've spoken about that. Men usually, if men meet you, they want you to stay the way they fall in love with you. They want you to stay the way you are.
Yes.
And a lot of women want men to, it's like, oh, I can fix that. I can fix that. I can change this. I can. But one thing before you're on a, this is like, we have to do this a lot, Mike, because we're having an amazing conversation. A lot of women, I can honestly say, from working with women for over 2 decades and knowing women and being a woman, most women have been through some kind of sexual abuse in their life, which makes it very difficult for them to trust. A lot of women that put on a lot of weight, it's because they believe their body is the reason that they were raped or abused sexually. They disconnect from their feminine because that's what got them in trouble. That's the psychology behind it. And so there are a lot of women out there who are dealing with that on a constant basis. I do think that it is not ever anyone's partner's job to fix you. It is up to you to work through those things yourself. But a lot of those women who have been abused, it's like, I get into the spiritual context of things, and it's all energy. We attract where we are. If I am in a state of mind within myself that I don't value myself, that I don't think I'm beautiful or worthy or any of those things, I'm going to attract a man who's going to validate that for me. He's going to potentially be abusive. He's going to potentially continue to reinforce the idea that if I think I'm a piece of shit, he's going to reinforce that I'm a piece of shit. And you get where you are. And so this is part of, like, with the incel stuff, I kept thinking these guys are probably really damaged in the same way that I just spoke about. Almost every woman I know has been through some form of sexual trauma. And so these guys have been through something. Maybe it was their mother. Maybe it was their dad even, drumming them. You're a piece of shit, worthless piece of shit. So these guys are attracting women who are like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. They're validating that. That's why I keep bringing it back to, I'm a root cause person. I am a root cause woman. I like to look at, how do we get here? How do we fix this fast? Like, how do we just undo this and not blame one another? And I think the core of everything is our own self-worth and self-love. So if these guys that are incels, they've got to be pretty damaged. And I'm not making excuses for anything any of them would do, but it's like, how would we heal that kind of man? So we don't have men like that running around that potentially want to hurt women just because women won't open their legs for them, right? We have to figure out, where are they hurt? Where are they broken? How do they get help? And some of them are beyond help. Then these guys have to want to wake up and recognize, you know what? There's something in me that's broken. And that's why I'm not able to get a woman in my life, because I'm not whole myself. I hate that Jerry Maguire line. I just got through saying that in one of my live streams. You complete me. We don't need anybody to complete us. We're complete. But we're in this cycle and in this dance with the men and women of how we try to get to one another. And I think it's simple. How we get to one another is by being whole in ourselves. And you're right. Okay. Unicorns I know I hear this a lot. And the thing is, what I have chosen to do in my life is to be alone before I would ever settle for anything less. And I think the opposite is true for most people. They so desperately want to have somebody next to them, under them, or over them, that they will sell their values and their integrity and their principles just to have that. And those relationships will never work. That's why I said a while ago, because it's like we're commodifying ourselves. It's like, does a man, if he's got to be all these things to get a woman, does he want a woman that's saying you have to be all these things in order to have me? What kind of woman is that? Do you really want that? And same thing for women. If you've got a man saying you have to look this way and you better be this and that and the other, do you really want that man? We're so broken and lonely and desperate. And the desperation is, to me, what really hurts my heart, is to see this desperation. And I do believe the key is to heal from within our own individual selves and just step away from all the how-tos. The how-tos are just making it worse. Stop swiping, spend time with your men friends, guys, work through your hurt and whatever it is that you've been through in your life. Is very, very difficult for guys to talk about the sexual abuse. And I was surprised when I started working with men, how many men had that in their history. And they would tell me, but to tell another man is something, and that's where the hurt needs to heal. Like, you guys need to come together and have a safe space.
I was the victim of sexual abuse as a kid, and it caused me trauma in my life. And I had to get back to the shame of, okay, there was like a deep shame inside of me for the things related with that. And as a man, you just don't talk about that.
Exactly.
But when we talk about the healing, society seems to, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It can lead to a bad thing, but society tends to want to, when a man messes up, he is made to account for how he messed up, and he is made to account to fix things. What happens with women, more or less, is when they mess up, they're not necessarily held to that same accountability. They are accountable, but they're not held to that same accountability. So when we talk about healing ourselves, and I'll give you an example. When I first separated from my wife, and I would tell people, hey, I'm separated or I'm going through a divorce, the first question they had for me was, what did you do?
Was it a man or a woman asking you this question?
Both.
Women. Oh, both.
Both.
Interesting.
What did you do?
Interesting.
And and I'm sure, of course, I wasn't there when she talked to her friends, but I'm sure when she told them, their question for her was, what did he do?
Yeah.
You see, so it all comes back to what the man is. And now that women have trauma, whether it's abuse, whether it's a bad relationship, whatever the trauma is, and it could come, a lot of it comes from childhood.
Most of it does. Yeah.
Which transfers into a relationship.
Yeah.
They can't work it out. The relationship makes it worse. It makes the triggers worse. And then all of a sudden it's my ex's fault. No, it's not your ex's fault. It's your fault from the beginning, but it's hard for women to stand up and take accountability when they're not used to that. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to tell women, okay, it's okay that you messed up. You don't necessarily, teaching them they don't have to take the accountability, but now it's coming to their own mental health and they have to step up and take that responsibility. Men are either going to do it or they're not. They're not going to be in the same place. They're either going to go to that place of hate, right? Like I was telling you, or they're going to say, I'm sick of my shit. I want to heal. And it's not just about wanting to heal.
Right.
Because I think there's a lot of women out there who suffer from trauma who want to be better. Just like there's a lot of men out there that want to be better. But it all comes down to whether or not you're willing to do what it takes to do it.
It takes courage to face all that because it's painful.
One of the best books is called Unfuck Yourself.
Oh, I've heard about it. Yeah.
I love that book. I recommend it. I should keep copies and just hand it out to people. But the whole book talks about the difference between wanting something and be willing to get it.
Yeah.
So, you want to talk, we keep kind of going back to the incel thing here. A lot of incels still want a relationship. They want to be with a woman.
That's why they're upset. Yeah.
And I think if they find the right relationship, all the hate and anger will go away. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes in order to get that? And don't tell me, hey, I've tried everything. No, you haven't. You've tried all the dating apps. You've tried to do all
tried the easy way.
Yes. Have you looked inside and said, I need to take my ass to the gym? Have you looked inside and said, you know what? I need to get out of bed at 8 o'clock this morning and actually go and get a good job and stop blaming the economy or stop blaming employees for not paying me enough. No, it's out there. It's attainable. You just got to separate yourself from the others. But okay, now before we finish up here, I want to get into some of the expectations that men and women have, because I think there's a lot of men out there who think that there's 25-year-old single women who have a low body count, who are willing to jump into a marriage with them when they are 40 to 45. Yes, they exist, but they're very, very rare. And again, when we were talking about women, there's a lot of women out there who think there's a 40-year-old man who's 6'4", who makes $1 million a year, who is going to accept me for sleeping with 50 guys and being a divorced mom of 2 kids. And I just don't think these expectations are lining up. So I think we need, as a society, either everybody has to step up their game, which isn't going to happen, you know, as well as I do. It's why we have so many obese people. You know, they want to be in shape. They're just not willing to step up their game to do what it takes. At the same time, I think what needs to happen with these expectations is people need to step back and look and say, okay, are there really that many men who are 6'4"? And why do I want a man who's 6'4"? Because I want to look good in heels. Is it more important to me to look good with him when I'm in heels? Or is it more important to have a man who is going to be there for every single thing that happens in my life? And the same thing with men. Is it your pride where you don't want to take care of a stepkid? Or is it the fact that you don't want to feel like, oh my God, I'm less of a man because I'm taking care of somebody else's kid? You know, when actually it would make you more of a man to actually step up and do that. But so some of these expectations need to change. Big time.
I feel like most of them need to disappear. And I think they're in the way. I think expectations should be things like, and it's actually, maybe expectation is the wrong word, is what I want to say, is that maybe it's not, it's more like, I would say as myself, I'll just use myself as an example. I require that a man knows who he is, that he will put me first until it comes down to whatever his essence or his sense of integrity or what he honors or values in his life, that he will not compromise that even for me, that he will protect, that he will support, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, that he will value the relationship that we're in. See, these are internal qualities, Mike, what I'm describing. These are requirements that I have, okay? I don't expect, even though I may like tall guys, if that guy showed up and he was shorter than me, his masculinity would be so compelling to me that I would feel it in my heart. That's the way, in my opinion, it should be. Because these expectations create barriers. Boundaries are important ways that we define our yeses and our nos, but barriers keep things out. Boundaries keep things out as well, but a barrier is really like a hard no. It's like a hard stop. And like this list of things you were just describing are tremendous barriers. And this man or this woman that you meet could be the most incredible partner you could ever have on an internal level. Because when it gets down to it, if this is somebody you really want to grow old with, you're going to get fucking old. You're going to get wrinkly. Body parts are going to change. Things aren't going to look the same, aren't going to feel the same. But what's inside, like, do you really want to grow with somebody, or you just want to have a hot body next to you to walk around, in the world with and have sex with and go ooh, ah with, and then there's no substance. And I think we're just compromising with these expectations. We're compromising substance for superficiality. And this is why relationships fall apart so fast. You meet somebody on an app, it's all about how they look and the lies they told in their profile. Or even on like Match or any of the ones that they say are, eHarmony or some of these ones where people are looking for a relationship. There's still a lot of lying that goes on those things because people are desperate to get someone to say, oh, I want you. I want me first. And that's why like all the things I've learned in my life have gotten me to the place of, I know, and this is what I want every man out there listening to you and every woman to understand. When you get to a place where you say, I value me at such a high level that I'm not willing to compromise or settle just to have someone next to me, if they don't meet those inner requirements, like what I just described, not height, not weight, not age, not extended family, any of these things that are on everybody's list of yes and no, that if I can't have that, I am so okay with who I am, more than okay. I value, love, and respect who I am, and I appreciate myself, and I'm able to like go through life engaging with my huge social circle and the things that I'm passionate about. And that man will show up, whether it's a day from now, a year from now, a month from now, because I'm single right now. And people are like, why are you single? I'm like, because I haven't met somebody that has moved my heart. I'm looking for my heart to be moved.
See, Gina, you are the unicorn. Gentlemen, I'm going to study her and go over and look at her page, listen to everything she's talking about. But see, that's the thing. There's going to be a lot of single men. If men
exactly, but if men would do this, it would be a different world. That's what I'm saying. You guys can change the landscape. You can change the landscape.
We have too many men who are basically, and I hate using the word simps, but those are the ones that are out there paying for the OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Those are the ones buying drinks in a bar. I buy women drinks in bar. You know what I buy them? I buy them bottles of water.
Yeah, good. I love that. I love that, Mike. That's awesome.
I say, what are you drinking? They're like, Gina Cloud. I'm like, great. I order my drink and I get a bottle of water and I sit next to her. She looks at me funny. And I'm like, at the end of the night, drink that water, get some alcohol out of your system. We can have a conversation.
Right.
I'm not here to talk to you while you're sober, liquored up and whatever.
This is why I'm not a fan of bars.
I don't want my women going to bar and doing. That's why I would never meet them. But
you guys have more power than you realize. You can change the landscape. You can change. You can.
I could wake all the men up that are doing this.
Well, that's what you're doing right now. You're working on that. It's a process. Yeah.
Like, I don't want a woman with an OnlyFans account. Neither do I. So stop fucking paying for it.
Right. Change what you pay attention to. If you keep on
the validation, man, I'll tell you this right now. And I have never seen something so explosive than rejecting a woman. I have rejected some women over the last 6 months. And I have had them turn absolutely evil on me. Now, again, this is probably the small pool that are on the dating apps that have met that other side of 40 where they realize, okay, I've got to get this done. I'm not secure with who I am. But when you tell a woman no, or you say,
tell me about this. This is I really want to hear about this because this is something I don't know about. So, or these women that you met on an app, you met them in person. Like, tell me about
some
that.
Some of them I did meet in person. One I met in person, and we went out one time, and I could tell right there this woman was all about validation. Okay, this was look at me, like me on social media. There was where you would get the question. So, Mike, how was your day? Well, my day was okay. I had a lot of work. Well, let me tell you about my day. I mean, that was exactly how she would respond, and it's like, okay, so you didn't really give a shit about my day. You were just asking me to segue into yours, one of those where whatever it is.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to go out with her again. The second time we met, she said, hey, do you want to go have a drink? And I'm like, well, I was going to that place. I wanted to go someplace. So I'll go down to that place. I sat down with her for like 2 minutes. She starts telling me about this ex and complaining about guys that she's dated. And I said, look, maybe you just attract the wrong guys. You know what I mean? And she took that as not good. She's like, well, you're telling me I should look for different kinds of men. And I said, no, I'm just telling you that there's something that is attracting certain men. I don't know what it is. You can take it as an insult or whatever, but it's the truth. And she starts yelling, saying, I'm never going to have a man tell me what I am and what I am. I'm like, look, it's been fun. Have a good night, left money on the table, got up and went to the bar to finish my drink. I didn't want that. Next thing you know, the texts start coming. You're such an asshole. I've had a bad day and you just don't understand that. The next one was, I can see why your wife left you. Okay, here we go. So now she's looking for more validation and she's not getting it. So now she's trying to be vicious in order to elicit that response. And it's like, the second that I got up and basically told her, hey, I'm not here to validate your feelings. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be used as somebody that you just come in and chime and have me put my hand. I don't mind validating somebody's feelings, but that's not what I'm being used for. That's part of the benefits that you get with me, but I'm not a toy. I'm not a punching bag. I'm not someone you can manipulate and use for however you want. The second it was, she went batshit crazy. And that term really does exist. I'm sorry if women don't like to hear it, but that term exists because of women like that.
Where did you meet her?
Crazy. I met her originally online, but then we met in person. Other ones where, I've had one text me and say, hey, are you ready to go out this Thursday or whatever it is? And I didn't respond right away. So like a couple hours later, I get I guess you're not really that interested. And I'm like, Okay. So I respond, yeah, I guess I'm not. And then, of course, you get the wall of text. Well, fuck you. You should have said something in the beginning instead of me wasting all my time. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
But you're kind of proving the point of what I was really saying earlier about people who meet on apps or in bars. And it's a level of people who, for the most part, and this isn't a judgment on people. I'm saying that a lot of people who end up on these apps are insecure, desperate, and not willing to work on themselves. And if you're not willing to work on yourself and you think it's going to come from whoever, the man or the woman that you're in pursuit of or you want to be pursued by, it's never going to end well. And you're going to keep getting triggered. And it's more like I know this is the guy mentality, you know, get a better job, go to the gym. But how about you heal that trauma, the little boy that was sexually abused and you never got that out. You never worked through that. How about you heal these inner places that are a lot more difficult than getting a better job or going to the gym and losing some weight? That's where people don't want to go. That's where people don't want to go.
And I agree. A lot of men are very reluctant to do some of those things, but that's one thing that we teach in the manosphere is you got to get your mental health right first.
Totally.
Because if your mental health isn't right, you're not going to be able to, because you've got to be able to do consistency. You got to be consistent. You've got to have plans. You've got to be self-aware of certain things. You got to know when you're self-sabotaging, because if you're going and trying to get your health better, and then you go work out, and then you're going to the bar to have a beer, that's self-sabotage. You need to be self-aware of, I just did all this progress, and now I'm going to, kick it back and go back to square one. So we do teach, you need that mental health. You also need the physical health. You also need the financial health. Those are the three things that we basically hit on. And I understand some men aren't wanting or willing to do that, but we actually do teach it. Now, I want to pull up this calculator real quick because this is... Let
me just say this one thing before I forget it, because our minds are going so quickly on this. One of the things I really want to say to men is I think the critical piece for you to find your own self-value and to attract the kind of woman that you want is to rediscover your own heart, or discover it for the first time, because most men are socialized away from being present in it. And I'm telling you, the masculine heart is the sweet spot. So I think that's something you guys really should strive to work on. Okay.
Well, we know that. We know that. We just want
most men. I don't think a lot of men do know that.
We want a woman. We want a woman to accept that. It seems like being in our masculine, we get a lot of pushback for. And again, this is generally speaking. This isn't all women, but we get a lot of, where I don't need your money. I don't need you to open the door for me. Okay, then what the fuck do you need?
Well, it's a friend of mine, somebody on Instagram the other day. I had posted something. It was a clip from one of my live streams, and he said, "Thank you for speaking up about the masculinity, because at a time when men are being viewed as disposable." Like, that made me cry. Like, really, is that how you guys are really feeling? It's so disgusting.
Yeah, we do.
And so that was like, wow.
And we didn't used to be that way.
No.
Initially, we had that feeling, and then a lot of women are waking up. And I'll put my ex in here. I'll never say anything bad about my ex, but she was young when we got married. She woke up one day like, "What the fuck? I'm mid-30s. I've never experienced life outside of being a mom and a husband." So. All right, so let's go to this calculator real quick before we wrap this up. But there's also a male one that I'm going to share with you. But let's do the female one first, because I think
so this is what women are looking for. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah. So this site was invented by a guy who was basically, he got fed up with his dating standards. He's in the situation that most men are. And so what he did is he pulled statistics from the Census Bureau, and also a health survey that's online. So all the information is coming from statistics. These are actual government statistics that he uses. So basically you can put in here an age range of what you want in a man. And let's just say, if you're dealing with a divorcee woman who wants a man, let's say 35 to 45, because most men, no offense to younger men, but most men are going to come into their own about 35 to 45, because we fuck up a lot when we're younger. Sorry. Yeah. We're trying to find ourselves. We're jumping off bridges, seeing if we're going to,
especially
swim
these
or not.
days. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I'm not saying you can't be successful under 35. I'm saying once you're 35 to 45, you're pretty much into your own of what you're going to be. So we're going to exclude married men, because of course women don't want to date a married man. We'll go with any race.
Some do.
Some do. And, it shows 6 foot here, but I'm just going to go down because I think the average male height is what, like 5'8", 5'9"? Okay, so let's go to 5'9", and let's exclude fat guys because we want them in the gym, and just pick any income level. What do you think women are asking for? And again, I'm not you're the unicorn here, but what do you think? What do you think women? And if you look at a lot of these videos online, where a lot of the are younger girls and they have no clue of the value of the money. So let's just say. I'm not even.
You probably be better at picking a number than me. I would say 6 figures something, but
yeah.
At least
a lot of these girls are picking 100 and everything else. So let's just do 100. And okay, ladies, this seems doable, right? A man who's not married between 35 and 45, and we're not even. These could be divorcees, even, right? Any race, 5'9", not fat, makes at least $100,000 a year. You're dealing with 1.3% of the male population.
That meet that standard?
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. See, now even you were shocked. Now, that's what I'm saying. These expectations aren't unreal. I think they're just...
No, I think the world has changed that much, though. I think men used to meet. I mean, forget about inflation, but whatever that $100,000 looked like back in the day, there were lots of men. I mean... The majority of men. I mean, this is shocking. Wow.
So let's even take it down.
It's terrifying. Oh my God.
Let's go. Let's give you an inch in height and 55,000 per year.
Oh, goes way down.
Now it's 4.6% of the population, but it's still not very, very high.
Wow.
Exactly. So let me share the male.
That's
calculator.
Crazy.
Now, those are what sucks is those are things that women are looking for, and things like height we can't change. Things like race we can't change. Age we can't change. The main thing in there is money. That's why men are in the manosphere right now are preaching get your wealth up, because it will put you into that 1%. Now, for men, men's standards are a little bit easier. I'm telling you this right now, women. If you want a man that fits all those standards, you've also got to realize that you are competing with every other woman out there. Because just because that man exists as that 1%er doesn't mean he's going to come to you and say, I'm in love with you. You're still going to have to compete with hundreds of other women who are vying for his attention. Now, men are a little bit different. We look for feminine. We don't give a shit about how much money you make. Height only matters to a point. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want somebody.
You don't want a really tall woman.
Yes, exactly. When a woman hits 6 foot, it's not just about her being taller than us. I know women are going to be like, oh, you're just insecure. No, it's not necessarily insecure. It's about us knowing that you're going to be insecure about being with somebody short.
Because it's the protector thing, like I mentioned earlier.
So let me just say, okay, so men are usually looking for youth, beauty, and sex appeal, right? So let's just go 25 to 29. And you know what, man, I'll go up a little further. Let's just say 26 to 31. We don't want anyone who's married, obviously. We don't want anyone who has kids. We're going to go with any race. And 4'11 to 5'8. We have a wide range. We're good with that. We don't want anybody who's overweight or obese. And ladies, I'm sorry, stop listening to Lizzo. Okay? Stop listening to Instagram. If you want to call men shallow, then okay, men are fucking shallow. But here's what they're called. They're called boundaries and preferences. You think men can't have boundaries and preferences. I'm here to tell you, not only do we have them, but I'm teaching them to set them. If you don't want an obese woman, don't go for an obese woman, guys. Okay, this is going back to the paying for OnlyFans. If you stop idolizing Lizzo, women are going to start saying, okay, I need to take care of myself healthy. And it's not just about looks, by the way. Okay, we want women who are able to care and provide for our families emotionally. Okay, we don't want a woman who's tired and everything else.
I want to say this as a woman, and I understand the whole plus size movement and everything, and I understand inclusivity in terms of all women are beautiful, and I hate the campaigns where, the Victoria's Secret models, and the Dove did a campaign for natural beauty,
Sports Illustrated,
which I love. All of that is very detrimental to women's self-esteem. But I will say this, I am not a fan of calling obese inclusive and plus size. Is very unhealthy. It is very unhealthy. And to promote that as inclusivity is really, it's just good marketing, and it's just bad overall, because
and it's not shaming. Let me take that away. If a man doesn't want a woman who is obese, we're not out there making fun of you for it. If you want to be obese, that's fine. I'm not going to refuse to be your friend. I'm not going to refuse to talk to you. I'm just not going to get in a relationship with you because that's my preference.
You're not going to be attractive to her.
Same way, if you say, hey, Mike, you're only 6 foot tall. I want somebody who's 6'4". Okay. That doesn't mean you're shaming my height. It means you have a preference. I think maybe you need to change it, just like an obese woman may say, oh, they think that I need to shame it or change it. Okay, I'm not going to change it. Maybe I will in the future, and that'll be attractive, but for right now, I'm not. So the men's side. So let's find out who is available here. Probability 7.9% or 7.9%. Now, I'm not saying men are better with their expectations, because they're still pretty fucking low. You know, you're down to 7%, but you still have more of an opportunity getting those than you would.
They're very low percentages, though. You know,
and but I can still even go back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all shallow. It's shallow on both sides.
You know, for me, let's say I go. Let's just say I go up to. Let's do the 35 to 45, because again, this is where a lot of women are filing for divorce nowadays. And we don't care about income. That takes us down to 1.6%. Imagine if we wanted a woman making money. That's going to take us down to pretty much nothing. So the one thing is you don't have to settle. And social media tells us, don't settle. You know, don't settle, ladies. Make sure this man opens the door. Make sure he sends you flowers every Tuesday.
Well, that's one side of it. The other side is you don't need a man to open your door. It's part of the toxic patriarchy.
Correct.
I mean, when it's really about honoring. It comes from ancient traditions where the woman was honored and revered. You know, so
look for the mental health flags, lady. Okay, if you've got a guy that is doing things that are toxic, all right, or giving you red flags.
There's plenty of bad men out there, and plenty of bad women, but
he may be a cheater, he may be a liar, he may be doing this. Okay, move on. That's what people are saying by don't lower your standards. Don't lower your standards by accepting the fact that your partner lies all the time. No. But don't transfer those over into don't lower your standards. I need a man who's 6'2", because if you're looking for a man who's 6'2", he's married, or he doesn't make money to be able to provide for you, or he's going to be an asshole or a player, you know, or maybe that unicorn's out there, and he is out there. But guess what? What makes you so special that he's going to choose you over the hundreds of other women that are vying for him? And on the other side too, men, don't say, I'm not going to date a woman who has been divorced. You don't know why she was divorced. Maybe she was actually in a narcissistic behavior. Although I read this, my ex was a narcissist all the time, and understand that it's only 0.5% of the population who are truly narcissistic. But yeah, maybe they were liars. Maybe they did something.
Maybe her husband died. Maybe he died.
Maybe it's a widow. Maybe she was young like my ex and decided she didn't make the right decision. Maybe because she's not out there cheating or being a bitch or manipulating. I mean, there's
so many reasons.
Maybe he was abusive. So you've got to understand. Don't just say, oh, because she's this, do that. You know, you can't just say, okay, because she had. Well, yeah, men are going to set standards as far as females having friends or being on OnlyFans or whatever. But you've got to understand that if you want a good-looking woman who's 35, the chances of her not having kids are slim to none. So you're going to have to understand, if you want a good-looking woman who's inner feminine, who's 35, who's going to give you the world, she may be bringing some baggage into that relationship. So don't necessarily rule her out. So,
everyone brings baggage. It's about your willingness to. You know, relationships, I think, are really designed to trigger a lot of the wounding. There's a type of therapy called imago, and relationship therapy, and it's based on the premise that you're basically attracted to people, your wounds. They have like an imago joke where, you know, you're in a party and you see each other from across the room, and sparks go off and it's fireworks inside of you. It's like, welcome to meeting each other's wounds. But the trick is, because relationships will trigger us over and over again, the trick is to find a partner that you can navigate that with, with love and continuity, that you'll stay together. But relationships are the most triggering things that there are when you get into them, but this setup for shallowness is just, the numbers are really surprising if that data is accurate. I don't know where they compiled it from.
You'll be surprised, and you'll find all the videos out there supporting the data, and you'll see the expectations of men, expectations of women, all online. You can find videos on YouTube, social media, everywhere, of real, actual interactions with them. So, this discussion has been informative. I've loved it. We got to have more of these. I guess I want to give you the final word. What advice can you give to men right now who are healing? They've been broke in the past. They're coming out of it now. They're now looking to get into a relationship. What is the best advice you can give them? What can they do to find a woman that they're looking for and be in a meaningful relationship?
I think the first thing, and again, I'm going to say specifically, this question and the answer is oriented towards men who are good men. And when I say good men, I mean, you're not abusive. You're not part of that toxic masculine patriarchy or whatever, but you're men just trying to figure out how to have a good relationship. I think the most important thing, and I think I've said it, I've sprinkled it all throughout this conversation, is to let go of the quest for a woman. Just stop looking. Stop looking outside. Stop seeking her. Seek within. Seek your own heart. I said it because I was afraid I wasn't going to remember to say it, but your heart as a man is a treasure, and don't let anyone trample it, take advantage of it, and don't give it away easily. A lot of times I think men can be very seduced by, and the word seduce in Latin means to lead astray. So you can be seduced by a pretty woman or a woman who meets everything on that checklist, who has absolutely nothing of value inside, nothing that is going to sustain you or inspire you. I think a woman inspiring a man to be a better man is a critical piece of what's missing between men and women. And it's not, you better do this, or it's not ultimatums. It's not being bossy. It's a quality of being. Work on yourself. Figure out where you feel broken inside of you. We all have places inside of us where we know through traumas in our lives, our early childhood, relational trauma. Work on fixing those things. Otherwise, wherever you're at, if you're angry and upset about whatever your last relationship was, or your divorce, or anything you've been through, you're vibrating at a frequency of frustration. Maybe you're not, you don't like women right now, but you still want one. That's what you're going to attract. It's not going to be a good match. If you want, there's a spiritual tenet that says, if you don't like what you're getting on the outside, go back in and do more work. So if you want to attract a caliber of woman that you feel you deserve, become the man that woman would deserve. And the same goes for the women. You need to become that caliber for who you want to be met by in relationship. And I swear, when you embody that, you will settle for nothing less, and that person will find you. You just have to give up an expectation on the when and the where, or you have to say to yourself, okay, that sounds great. Unicorn land. Forget about that. I just want a warm body next to me. Be prepared to deal with the fallout. It's a choice. If you just want to pursue what will not last for something artificial and something fulfilling maybe in the moment, and to keep on that cycle, that's your choice too. No judgment about it, but get clear. And that's a piece of the masculine that is vital. Clarity before action. And you guys need to get clear, but value this way more and take less of the attention off of the to-do list of what you need to be in order to have her. It's more like, who do you need to be in order to have yourself? That's what I say.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gina. Thanks for being on. For those of you who are listening to this and want to see the full video, you can go to Rumble, you can go to YouTube, you can find a link to it on menbreak2.com. You can also check out some of the short clips on social media. And as always, we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Gina.
Thanks, Mike. It was great.